answered one of the questions. The other question is, how did you get to Indian Hills Camp? How did that journey come about of you ending up here?
Yeah, so for me, 2013 was my first summer. Before that, I worked or came and volunteered at what we used to do an Easter break camp back when it was Easter break, not spring break, because once it got spring break, they all spread out. But we used to do a refugee camp for kids here in San Diego, because San Diego is one of the 5 big refugee ports for the nation. And so we would do that. We'd bring them up here for the day. And I came and I was one of the counselors for the high schoolers that were helping out for the spring break camp. After that, I came back for the summer. And then after I came back again in 2014 because I didn't live here in San Diego. And after that, I kind of never left. So that's how I ended up here.
How did you come to Indian Hills Camp? How did that journey come about?
Okay. So I was a camper here. My parents actually worked here. I've had cousins work here, aunts and uncles, and all kinds of people that I've known in my life that I've worked here. So camp has kind of been in my life since I was born. My mom actually went into labor with my older sister while she was working here. So, yeah, this place it means so much to me. But so, yeah, I was a camper here, and then ever since I was a camper, I just knew that I wanted to work here. So I did team staff, which is the high school staff, for all 3 years. And then I came back and did college staff. And then I also was a counselor a guest counselor for like a week or two. And then I took a couple years off because I didn't live here. I actually moved to Tennessee when I was 13, so I had to come here each summer. And then, so here I am. And then I came back last year, and then they offered me a full-time position, and so I've just been here since.
I love it. I love it. Okay, next question. What has God done through your life while you've been here at camp?
For me, camp holds a really special place in my heart. When I got here in 2013, there was a lot that I needed God to help me with when I first got here. And actually when I came here during spring break or Easter break for the camp, at the end of the week, the director at the time asked me to come back for the summer as a lead support staff, which was kind of the entry level for the leadership here at camp. And I was shocked. I thought he had the wrong person. I couldn't believe he was asking me. And part of that was because at the time I was dealing with a pretty bad depression. I had just recently admitted to myself that was the case, and I felt like my life was in these broken pieces, and I wasn't sure how they'd ever go back together again. So when I came here to camp in 2013, God met me here. He renewed me. He restored me. I remember going to this. We would do staff devotions a few times a week throughout the summer. And I remember going to the devotions, and every time someone spoke, in my mind, I would think, when did I forget that? When did I stop doing that? When did these truths that God had shown me, when did I forget? So God really met me here, and for that, Indian Hills always hold a special place in my heart, and I want others to experience God when they come here, to meet Him, to hear His still small voice, and to be forever changed.
So, like I said before, I came here as a camper, so I feel like this place is it gave me the foundation to build upon, and I just feel like it has transformed my life. From being a little camper, I was that kid that would raise their hand every single summer when Festus would share the gospel. But there was one specific summer, my counselor was Diane Sitton. I don't know if any of you, yes, sorry. And I don't know, I just remember when I did that and I shared that with her, she was just so excited for me and so ecstatic. And obviously I was younger and I sort of knew what it meant, but I just remember thinking oh wow, she's really excited for me. But now as I've gotten older, I understand that, and I can be here and see over the summer the kids that come, I feel that same joy that she felt, and it's just been such a blessing to be able to be here and witness that and see that and be a part of that and pour into those kids. And another thing is that it's kind of small, but not small to me. This is where I like this place. I learned how to pray here. That might sound weird, but that was just one of those things that was really hard for me. I didn't know how to pray. I felt like unequipped. I don't even know if that makes sense, but there was just one summer where everyone around me just really pushed me and helped me, and especially praying out loud. That was not my thing. And now it doesn't scare me anymore, maybe sometimes, but and I just feel like God really met me there and kind of showed me that it's okay to be afraid, and I'm just having a conversation with him, and that's all it is, and it's okay. So that is just, it was a big deal for me, because I still remember, like now in my quiet time when I'm praying to the Lord, I use things that I learned that summer when I'm in my quiet time with him. So it's just, yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. I love hearing stories like this where God is transforming an individual's life, and he is obviously in the midst. And the more you're seeking him and doing what he's called you to, he's obviously responding to that and nourishing that growth, the spiritual growth in your life. That's awesome. Okay, next question. Why do you believe in the mission and future enough to want to serve at Indian Hills?
Well, our mission is to reach and teach kids for Jesus Christ through camping, and it's a great mission. I actually wanted to share a quote from one of our past directors, Don Barber, and he served as a director in the mid to late 70s and early 80s. This is what he had to say about kids at camp. In these days of abnormal social pressures, increased crime and violence, our children must become firmly anchored to the rock, Christ Jesus, in order to resist the evil influences which surround them and are intended to destroy them. Here at Indian Hills Camp, through the work of the Holy Spirit, we can be an impact in building that resistance and securing that anchor in the camper's relationship with God. And that was true back then, and it's even more true now, where these outside influences can reach into the home because of the devices we have in our pockets. Camp is special. It's a unique place. It's a place where you can come and slow down and disconnect from the world. You can, and hopefully slow down enough that you hear the still small voice of God, and that you can meet him here and encounter him. And really, that's my heart for not only the kids that come here, but for any guest that comes, that they would have that opportunity to meet God here, and that they would be blessed by it.
I honestly was going to say something along the same lines, but most of the people that come through here are kids, and they are the future, and so I just feel like it's really important for them to be able to come to a place like this, like you said, to kind of unplug from the world and just be here and see God's beauty. And I think we have such an amazing staff here that they are able to see God through them, and just in the way that they speak to the people around them and the way that we communicate with each other. I just feel like we're really blessed and really lucky to have such an amazing staff, and be able to kind of be an example to those kids that are here, and kind of get them thinking like what's different about these people that are here. So yeah, and I love kids. I love being here and being able to just, like I said before, just pour into them. And even if they're just here for the weekend and not even here to hear about God, they might not even know about God, but that's even better, because that's why we're here. And just, one conversation with them could plant that seed in them, and then they could think about it for the rest of their lives, or maybe be like, oh, like I actually want to go back there. And try to make sure to talk about our summer program with them, because I'm usually on Saturdays, on the weekends, I'm doing like zip line or something like that. So I do get to have a lot of interaction with them. So I like to mention our summer program, because that's where we get to share the gospel. So I kind of try to tell the parents, like, you should bring your kids here. Little do they know what they're getting themselves into, but that's fine. But yeah, so it's just, it's just an amazing opportunity, and I feel very lucky to be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, I don't have the history that they have. I've only been here 4 years, but I can attest that some of these things that they're saying, I've seen in the 4 years that I've been here. And it's been amazing to be a part, to be involved, to see kids come through here not knowing God. Some of them do know God, but they don't have that fire to want to pursue Jesus. And then you see the transformation day after day when they're here with us an entire week, to see after the third day that they're like running for God, they're passionate about God, they want to know God, and then they go back home and they tell their parents, they tell their families, and then we get this kinds of feedback where kids are being impacted, they take it home, and then the families are being impacted, and it's just beautiful to see. So it's really awesome. Love that you guys were able to share with us. Thank you guys, appreciate it. I'm gonna give a round of applause for these guys. The next person I'm gonna bring up, you're gonna be able to hear from him. I think a lot of you already know him. He is awesome. I've only known him 5 months, but he's a great leader. I've gone to work at different churches, and I've gone to work under good leaders and great leaders, and I would say that he is one of those great leaders that I've been able to work under. A man that explicits humility, leadership, and he's just really fun to work with. He is good at empowering other people, not just to do their jobs well, but to do the work of the ministry. And his love for Jesus is very evident. So you're gonna hear from him. I wanna invite, well, we call him here Skip. I don't know if you know him as Skip, but Brian Schrader.
Well, after that introduction, I think we're going to just wrap it up, and you guys have a great night. I don't think there's anything else I need to say. So like I was saying, Indian Hills has got such a unique history in the camping industry. The ministry here was founded in 1960. One of those with Ruth Folsom, who this cross is here to memorialize, and they had a heart for the youth of East County and the opportunity to bring people out of their normal to share the gospel with them. And that has been 60 years worth of the effort here. Unfortunately, there was a time in the history of camp around 2018 where that original nonprofit actually folded. There was a lot of different things that went into that process, but the ministry here went dormant in 2018. A new group came in, the Rough Acres Foundation, and actually they have a history with camp as well. And they purchased the property and had a heart to restart the ministry that was missing here, and such an important piece of the legacy here in East County of the gospel. So in 2019, the new organization was founded and formed, and they were ready to go and launch going into 2020, excited for camp. And we know what that looked like. So this ministry that had been going for 40 years strong, 50 years strong, 60 years strong, had a 4-year period where there was not really anything happening here. So from 2018, 2020, there's no ministry here. We just wrapped up really the first full year of ministry here at Indian Hills in the last 5. And over that course of time, we had over 10,000 people here on camp this year. And it was just an amazing opportunity for me to come in and see that as the new guy and watch the impact that we've been able to have. And that is just a testament to what the Lord has planned for this place and the people on the staff that have been so dedicated to seeing it through. At Indian Hills, we focus really in 4 main lanes of ministry. One of those is our summer camp. That has been the bread and butter, the highlight of what camp has been for a long time. Ministry to elementary school and junior high kids on a week-long experience here at camp, getting them out of their normal. Coupled with that, we've got the high school program that Shanice mentioned. We've got college students that come into work over the summer. It's a huge impact of what camp has been. That used to be a 10-week-long program. Well, now that summer school is different and the school schedules are all different, we can't even find 10 weeks of summer to run consecutively now between college and elementary school kids. But that's given us a great opportunity to move and look at other venues. Not only do we do the summer camp, we do 6th grade camp that's here. So Christian schools from all over kind of Southern California will send their 6th graders here for a week of learning about nature and in nature through a gospel perspective. And we get the chance to be able to share with them what God has done in nature, and they get the chance to really experience that here. Along with that, we do outdoor education. Our spring is full of field trips. We do Gold Rush days. 4th grade is state history. So obviously there's California history here in 4th grade. And while Sacramento is a great trip, we get to offer a lot of that here, from the natural pieces that are here, from the Native Americans to our gold mining. We do that, plus our field trips. And then we have our weekend camping in groups that come. And between that, it really helps us fulfill our mission. Because like Tim mentioned, our mission as an organization is reaching kids for Jesus Christ through camping. And part of that reaching is that we want to be accessible to all. We want to be able to reach and support those Christian schools and those kids that have some kind of faith background to really grow in their discipleship and what they're doing. But we want to be a place where a public school, a non-churched group, a youth group, a Cub Scout, a YMCA, can come here, experience the beauty of nature, and be loved on by our staff and get a little glimpse of what the gospel might be in their life. And that's why we need such a great team here. That's why the people here are so important, and we wanted to really highlight that for you. So that's a little bit about what we've done here. Let me give you a little bit about myself and how I ended up here, because don't have the camp story. My first experience here with Indian Hills was in 2019. I came with my family as part of a group that was here for the weekend camping over Memorial Day. It was, the new group had just taken over this brand new organization, and we were helping them weed whack so that we could get our tent set up because it was so overgrown after 18 months of not being used. But our kids had a great time, and what a great place to be able to come, set up a tent, put kids on a bike, and say, go have a good time. And know that they're safe, and they've just always had a wonderful time. Well, we did that in 2019. 2020, we were able to come back, and that was really my experience with Indian Hills. My background, I have camping ministry in my background. I worked for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes for a long stretch where I got to help oversee some of our camp department. But my most recent stop was in higher education. I can fake it all I want, but ultimately I'm just a baseball guy. That's what I knew, that's what I did. That was my last real stop, was as a college baseball coach and working in college athletics. And I thought that was the lane that I was going to be in for a really long time, but God had other plans. So it was really in the start of me getting to camp. While I didn't know it was Indian Hills and I didn't have any idea what the timeline was, it was the summer of 22. My family was up at Hume Lake and we were camping. We actually go with the Vickeries. They were there with us that week. And one of the things that Hume Lake does during their summer camp is they put high school kids on bikes across a dock and then jump off. They call it bike jump. Really, I don't know why they do it with their insurance now being on this end, but it's something fun that they do. So we were camped off to the side, and they invite families and everybody to come watch it. So we had this great idea, rather than riding paddle boards, but our family, one other family, we had this big floating dock that the families would just, really, the wives would go lay on just out in the water. We decided we were going to take this floating dock and paddle it over to camp. So there's 12 of us on this 10 by 10 floating dock trying not to sink this thing. So we're standing up there paddling, and I look over to my buddy and I told him, someday it'd be really cool when we retire and our kids are grown to go work at a camp and just see the kind of impact we could have, like helping, serving at a camp setting, to really bring some of this stuff that I've got to do in operations and really blend that with the gospel ministry. So I was future focused way down the road. Well, a year later, I'm here working at camp. And only God could have orchestrated the steps to do that. But just such a sweet reminder that those little desires or those little inklings that we may have, that he's willing to hear that and move in a way that we could show up here to serve together. So while I'm not paddling a floating raft around camp here, it's been just an awesome opportunity to be able to come together and really see what God has done. As we kind of move into the future of camp, I wanted to share, as you've heard our mission and what that looks like, the world's a crazy place. But we as an organization are firmly anchored to our mission statement and to our statement of faith, that we are going to be a Bible-believing, Bible-centric camp that shares the gospel with as many people as we can. And we want to be a part of that discipleship journey all the way through as much as we can, knowing that sharing the gospel, to discipling our high school kids, to letting college students and staff come back to serve is all part of the process. And that's really, really important to us. What we are willing to look at is the methods that we use to do that. Like I was telling you, in the heyday of the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, summer camp was the heartbeat of Indian Hills. That's what they did. And then their other programs were there to kind of help support, get them to the next summer of impact. And that's great. I don't know how many of you have an 8-year-old in the room, but the thought of sending an 8-year-old to a week-long overnight camp is different now than it was when I was an 8-year-old looking at going to camp. So while the world around us has changed and we want to be that safe harbor, we've also looked at how we can expand our opportunities into these other programs to really have great impact throughout the year. And again, there's this huge focus on wanting people to be here so that we can share the gospel with them. It's great to invite churches out, but we want to be willing to invite everybody in our community out so that we can reach them with the gospel. So if you are willing to look at those vision cards that are on your table, I'd love to walk this through with you a little bit. You see those three main things. As we talked about camp this year, and I told you that we had 10,000 people or so here at camp, that looked like 4 weeks of summer camp. We did 3 weeks of 6th grade camp. We had their spring full of our field trips and Gold Rush days, and we had 40 weeks this year where we had weekend campers with us. And that is huge growth. If you think about what that was from 2020 of doing nothing to 2023 to having around 10,000 people here, that's a huge ministry explosion that you can only see through what God's hand is doing. But as we go forward, there's 3 big ways that we want to be able to cast into the future. One is through our impact. And you can see what we feel like the Lord is leading us through and the amount of programming that we want to be able to run. Some of the things that you see here is that we're talking about running sessions of camp. Well, for us, that means that winter camp has to be something that we explore because we've done it before, and that's a program we want to be able to bring back. As we look at being able to expand, there could be a case where we could run junior and elementary school camps at the same time, running programs, because that's our opportunity. But we want to be able to see that come where we're really offering that. We think that our 6th grade camp program is fantastic, and we want to see that really grow into the Christian schools around here. We want to maximize that opportunity. We want groups that want to keep coming back and really grow our retention. And Shanice and Susan do just a fantastic job of building relationships with our groups that come, and then when they're here interacting with our staff, they feel like part of our family. And we feel like that's a really important piece. Well, if we were able to do these things, that means that by 2030, we have over 20,000 kids coming to camp. Imagine what it would go from 2020 with nobody here to 10 years later, we've got 20,000 kids coming through camp every year. That is a God-sized miracle if we're able to go do that. From there, it's the investment side. One of the pieces as you go and basically refound an organization is re-engaging the network of people that have had a great experience at camp or believe in the mission of it. I have yet to talk to anybody that's had a bad experience at camp. All I hear is that people that I've run across and say, "What are you doing now?" And I tell them I'm working at Indian Hills. All I hear is, "Oh my gosh, my kids have had such a great time," or "I was there," or "I know this person that was there." I've yet to hear anybody that says, like, "God, that place sucks." Like, that's just not the story. Nobody's telling that story. We have an incredible history of ministry to stand on the shoulders of, and we want to do that, but we need your help getting back into that and growing a wide base, just as we're kind of diversifying our methods of ministry to be a year-round ministry. We need that to be able to be a year-round opportunity for us as the people that are investing in it. And then the influence side is really big for us as well. We want the high school students, the college students that are here to have such an impactful time that they can't wait to come back. And while we don't want it just to be mountaintop to mountaintop, summer to summer, we want to be able to track their growth as they go. We want this to be a spiritually significant place for them. We want our team to be leading the way in the way that we serve in and through camp, but that gets noticed through our association, and we have the opportunity to invest into other places that are doing it. And we feel like it's really important. Again, I've spent 20 years in professional ministry, like as a mildly professional Christian, right? That's what I've done. And I know that God blesses those who are willing to bless others. We feel like it's a huge opportunity for us as a ministry to be supporting other ministries that are doing similar work. We have alumni that have come through that are now serving in churches or planting churches or overseas as missionaries. Us launching them and then celebrating with them and helping to support what they do is a huge piece of this. And we think that that's just a great story for us to tell with the people that are investing in this ministry, that we're continuing on our support of other people that have done that as well. You know, one of those things as we get moving and we grow and we look at these three big areas, this really gives us the chance to expand our game and take it to the next level. Coach will tell you, I found out as a baseball player, as my environment changed, as the teams I was on or the level I was playing at changed, just as the game around me changed, you had to be able to do different things to still accomplish the same purpose. I was a pitcher. My job never changed from hunting outs and winning games. That was always my job. But how I did that changed based on what I was doing. There was a time in my career where I could stand up on the mound and I could throw fastballs by you and I could beat you. And then I had to figure out, as I elevated a little bit, the context around me changed. I had to be able to place a breaking ball here and there so that I could keep you off balance. And then I had to develop a change-up because the context was the field was different, the environment was a little bit more challenging. I needed 3 pitches that I could trust to be able to do great ministry. And that's really what we're launching into. We feel like these 3 things of vision are great pitches that we can, if all of those are working together, we have a huge opportunity to accomplish our mission, which is reaching kids for Jesus Christ through camping. And to get them here, I love that we've had 10,000 people here this year. But I want to win. I want more. I am more than willing to admit that I'm not satisfied holding current and just continuing to celebrate 10,000. If next year's 10,001, we're going to celebrate growth and be hunting 10,002 the following year. But we feel like 7 years from now, we could be running at a pace where double the amount of impact just means that we have the opportunity to share Christ with that many more kids in our community. And you heard the stories of a couple of our staff and what it's done in their life and the generational impact it's had there. Think about what generations to come would say if we're bringing 20,000 kids a year through Indian Hills Camp. And that's what we're about. That's why we're here. That's why our team is here, and hopefully that's part of what brought you here tonight too, is to hear what this ministry is doing today and what we're hoping to do in the future. So how can you do that? There's a couple huge ways. One, you can come, and you've done that already. You showed up tonight to hear about who we are, what the Lord has placed in front of us as a ministry opportunity. And we can't thank you enough for being here with us. 2, you could pray for us. Please keep our staff in prayer. We know that this is a battle worth fighting, but we also know that we're going to come across some battle wounds as we go. The Longs are in the building, which is really fun tonight. But one of the things we did the week before camp started for us this summer is we got together as a staff, and we just really talked through the opportunity that we know that we're going into a battle that is worth fighting, but that also means that there's an adversary we have that doesn't want it to succeed. So shame on us if we're surprised when we face hardships or obstacles that come against our way. Well, I didn't know that meant that one of our camp family's daughters was going to snap her femur in staff training, or that we were going to have a couple of our staff go down sick for weeks on end. And those are just little examples, but we know there's going to be things that pop up that seem like they're obstacles or seem like they should derail us. But this is worth fighting for. We want to be there for the battle, and we hope you are as well. So pray for us in that. One of the ways you can get involved, if you're a church or you have a business or you've got a group of friends, is we have cabins here that just need some regular TLC to keep them up and running. You can consider adopting one of our cabins and keeping that running. It's a place you can come out a couple weekends a year, help do some of the regular maintenance and invest in it, and that's a great opportunity for us. And really the last way to be involved is to help give. As we wrap up this year, I ask that you would consider becoming part of our team. You see that we have an opportunity here. That monthly donor piece is huge for us. To build the stability month in, month out of people that are supporting the ministry, praying for it, and financially supporting the ministry that's coming. So as you go, you can see the QR code that's there. It'll take you to a link where you could give, and we'd love to have you invested in the ministry. Hopefully you've heard our team is invested in this place and invested in what the Lord wants to do here, and we can't thank you enough for being willing to come here what we are here as well. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Christian's going to come back up to wrap our night.